Click for IB Biology. Here we're again looking at the general principles of respiration. We'll take a look at the energy transfers which occur, the idea of coenzymes, and linking that to the different forms of oxidation and reduction that we'll encounter as we go through the course. The vocabulary associated with this is critical for the answering and writing of questions in your examination. A PDF of this presentation is in the description below, and of course a quiz with which you can test your understanding. In the previous video we already described the formation of ATP by adding energy to this process as endergonic. The free energy is added to the process, bonding the third phosphate to the two other phosphates to make the ATP, adenosine triphosphate, the molecule which fuels the active processes within the cell. But where did that energy come from? Where did this free energy come from? And the answer goes back to our biochemistry, in this case of glucose. We could start with lipids or proteins, but this is the classic approach. And to remember that in the drawing of our molecule as shown here, that each of these lines represents a bond. These bonds will be broken to liberate energy. And it's also important to remember that the bonds are composed of electrons, as this also can become an important way to distinguish between oxidations and reductions. So the energy which is here and here and here, all these bonds will be broken and the energy will then be transferred to form ATP molecules, as is summarized in this coupled diagram here. One of the new concepts in energy transfer will be the discussions that take place about coenzyme NAD, and this should be thought of as a way of, again, as a way of transferring energy from one place to another and from one form to another. And in this particular case, what happens is that hydrogens may be broken off the original molecule or one of the intermediate molecules, and they are transferred to the NAD molecule. So this picks up the hydrogen to form this bond here. And we would say that the NAD coenzyme has been reduced to this form here. So it'd be perfectly acceptable to describe this as reduced NAD, and to name it as such in your examination work. So this will then transfer the energy which is here to other processes within respiration in order to generate ATP. How this transfer occurs, of course, is the details of the later stages of the process. As we go through the stages of respiration, the vocabulary that we keep in mind is the idea of oxidation and reduction, which can be characterized within biological reactions in the following ways. If we see a loss of electrons, if we see hydrogens being broken off a molecule or oxygen added, these are all forms of oxidation, and these can be thought of as the release of free energy, classically associated with catabolism and classically associated with bonds being broken. Contrastingly, oxidation reactions are generally coupled to reduction reactions, where there's a gain of electrons, a gain of hydrogens, or a loss of oxygen, typically associated with building molecules, bond making, and energy gain. So once more we embrace the idea that bonds, energy, and electrons are three different ways to think about, to conceptualize the transfer of energy in the process of respiration and the synthesis of ATP. In the following videos, we will now go on to take a look at the ways in which energy within molecules, the substrate, is transferred to the synthesis of ATP. Links to the next videos are showing, a subscription button and the links to the playlist are shown below.